Hello and welcome to our webinar, The Joy of User Testing, Test with AI while staying in control. So cool that you join us today for this webinar. It's very nice having you today. I'm Paula Suessmeir, Product Marketing Specialist at Userbrain, and with me is Stefan Rössler, co-founder and head of product of Userbrain. And yeah, we are still waiting for everyone to join. So if you want, feel free to just type in the chat where you're located. I always love seeing where the people are from. Already someone typing, great. From Chicago, Chanel, nice having you here. And hey, Luis from Bristol, Dominic from South America, and a lot of people. That's cool to see from Glasgow, Scotland, from Berlin, Germany, UK, Liverpool, Egypt. Wow. Germany, Frankfurt again. Hi, Victoria, Nolan, Huntington Beach. Oh, I was there recently. I love it. Anne from London, from Barcelona. Really nice having you here. So for the ones who don't know, Userbrain is specialized in remote unmoderated user testing. And yeah, user testing should be fun, fast, and accessible for everyone. Yeah, this is our mission. And first of all, I would be really interested in what your experience with UX is. So I will just publish a little poll. You will see them in just a second. Okay, now you have the chat tab, and next to the chat tab is the question tab, and next to the question tab, you have the polls tab. You will have a little one popping up there, and it would be great if you just answer the poll really quickly. It would be really cool. Okay. Yeah, and what else? Yeah, before we start, next to the chat tab, we also have the question tab. So whenever you have a question during the webinar, it would be great just to put it in the question tab. And after that, we have, after like our webinar session, we will have a live Q&A and we'll answer all of these questions. Yeah, and I think I will hand over to Stefan, and he will tell us a bit about this new webinar format.
Well, thank you, Paula, and thank you everyone for joining in today. Awesome to see so many people there. And yeah, for today, maybe some of you have been to webinars already that we've done in the past. And to be very honest with you, it has always been a lot of work in preparing these webinars. So we usually do like very elaborate presentations, I want to say. We're really trying to get a few points across. And what our experience in the last few webinars really was is actually a webinar is not really a place where people want to watch slides. So if you want to watch slides and if you know a perfectly polished video or something, you probably go on YouTube, you search for it and you watch it for yourself. But what the webinars are really good at is if we can work together, if we can actually do something, if we do some practical work, and ideally not just us, but in collaboration with all of you joining so that you can ask your questions and you can do all these things. So what we're trying from here on in, and this today is basically a prototype of this new kind of series that we want to do, is where we are doing a 100% hands-on, stay in the product and do something practical webinar without a lot of theory. So that is basically the idea. And yeah, so just waiting still for a few people to join in, but I think it's good to start with the general introduction. So because what we really want to do today is show you how the user testing works with Userbrain, and as the title would say, how you can use AI for user testing while you stay in control. So that's the basic idea. So not giving it up and kind of like let an AI do all the things, but actually use it, leverage it, and get the goods from it and get the insights you need, and also keep your finger on it, and so you can do it the best way. And for this, we need an example, something we want to test. And we were thinking like maybe a topic that's nice for everyone is kind of holidays. So we were thinking maybe we're testing a website where you can look at flights and book accommodations and something like this. So in my research to this webinar, leading up to this webinar, I found a website called hopper.com. Not sure if you're familiar with it, but don't really want to talk too much about it, but just tell you that's the example. And I'm going to show you now how the user testing actually works the way we're doing it. So I just start sharing my screen now. And here we are in the dashboard of Userbrain. So I hope all of you can see it, but I think it should work all right. And before we even looking into anything else here, just a few tests we did in the past and for other webinars, I'd say let's create a new test. And so you can see how all of this works. And in this case, again, for this episode, what we're trying to do is test this hopper.com website. So all we do is we go here to create a website test. And then we say we're testing, well, just give it a name, Hopper. The URL of the website is www.hopper.com. So that's what we're trying to test. And that's the real idea now. We want to have this session and show you really how quick the user testing works here with Userbrain. So we can do things from scratch, create our own tests. We can use templates and do all these things. But what we're really trying to do here is just use the AI to get started, to do something really quick. So I select this option here. And then all we need to do here is give a little bit of a website description. So what it is. So imagine if you, for example, want to test your own website or whatever, you just enter here a short description. There are a few examples here on the bottom that would work. But in this case, it's a travel website for booking flights and accommodations. And you can improve this, obviously. So the better your description, the better the test will be that the AI is creating. But I just want to show you that this is enough to get you started. So that's all you do. You enter the URL, you enter the description, you try to avoid any typos, or you just use this here to improve it. And so you don't have it. And then what we do is just we click on create tasks and see what happens. Now, you see that the AI is creating tasks for this website. So they're already coming in. And the thing is, I just want to scroll through this quickly because we're not going to read this for now. We're just going to trust that what the AI is creating is going to be good enough for a test. And if you ever start using Userbrain and go in and do a free trial test or whatever, you will see that the AI is actually doing pretty good tests by itself. But I don't even want to convince you about this. I really want to show you how all of this works, because what we're going to do now is we just, without even reading it, we're just going to order a few testers. Like I go in here, and it's 2 free testers are included in the free trial. So I just do 2 free testers. I do this here. I didn't set any criteria or anything because it's not important for what we're trying today. And as you can see, we're already waiting for the 2 testers. So they should be coming soon. But what we want to do now in this webinar is, instead of just thinking about all of this theoretically and maybe go through this wall of text in the tasks and try to improve it, or you can see the first tester has already started. What we're actually going to do is we're doing a live user test in this session. So that's what I would ask you now, Paula, to help me with. Because what I'm doing, as these 2 people who have already started testing are doing their recordings, we're going to do a live user test now in this session. And the way we're doing is we go on this get testers, we click there again, and we go on this tab called bring your own testers. And then here we can enable an invite link. So I take this link, I just copy it now, and then I go over and send it to Paula. Just a second. So Paula, you should have received the link by now. And yes. Then we can watch how Paula goes through this test. And because the idea we're having is, again, we don't want to read all this text. It's too boring. Let's do a live test. And this way we can actually see whether what the AI has created is good or not. And it's not going to be perfect, obviously, because, you saw the description we were giving it. But through doing this test, I will take notes as we're going through. And I would encourage you to do the same thing. Any spots that you find where we might be able to improve the test. And of course, also, if you find anything interesting during the test that Paula is taking, take some notes about it and then post it in the comments later. So, all right, that's it. Paula should have the link now. We see our testers are recording. And while they're doing this, I stop my sharing. And I would suggest that Paula, you take over and you give us the tester perspective. So this was the researcher now, if you run a test, and now we're going to see how it looks for the people taking the tests.
Perfect. So I will start sharing my screen with you. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, so now I don't see you anymore. So Stefan, if there's anything, you have to interrupt me, because now I really just see my screen. So I got the invitation link from Stefan. I already put it in there, and I just type my name in there and my email address. Okay, I accept the invitation. I'm ready to test. Give access to everything. I share my screen, the whole screen. And now I'm ready to start recording. Okay, let's see. Task. Please remember to think out loud during your test and tell us if there's any information missing. You can input fake information if you need to sign up or anything. Now take a look at the site and tell us what you think it is. You can scroll if you want, but please don't click on anything yet. What's the first thing you notice? What can you do in the site? What products or service are offered on the site? Who's the site intended for? Okay, the first thing I notice is this bunny, because I like stuffed animals. So I think it's like pretty cute, and the clouds. So this would be like the first thing I notice. And what can I do on this side? I can look for stays and flights and book them and save money, I would say. Yeah, and maybe get some deals on the app. Okay, what products or service are offered on the site? I think I already said that. Like flights and accommodation. And who is the site intended for? This would be like for people who want to go on a vacation, because vacation, who doesn't like vacation? Okay, so yes, I completed the task. Next step. Imagine you're planning a surprise getaway for your partner's birthday. You want to find a flight and a place to stay for a weekend trip. Your budget is $800 and you prefer a destination with a warm climate. Please explore the site to find the suitable travel options within your budget. Compare at least 3 different destinations and pick the one you like most. Continue until you have to enter the actual payment data. Okay, so a flight and a place to stay. So search for destination. If I'm just looking for a flight and a place to stay, I would actually prefer having something in here that I don't have to type something in, because I just have the date. But anyway, let's say I want to go to Hawaii, because I like Hawaii. I've never been there, but okay. And my partner's birthday would be in May. So I want to go over his birthday, let's say for a few days, 2 guests, and then have a look. Okay, I don't want to sign in, actually. I don't like signing in. Okay, I think now I'm just looking for the accommodation, but I need the whole trip, actually. So I guess I should start with a flight. As I'm based in Spain. Oh, I can't go from Spain. Okay, that's not cool. Now I can go from Spain to Hawaii. Okay, this is not possible. I just need a place to stay. I was reading in one. Okay, so let's go back in here. So, here's the total price. So I just have a budget of $800. Let's see, I can per night. Okay, so I would have to calculate the price and multiply it with the fee. Okay, so let's see. I guess we are not going to Hawaii because it's too expensive for us. Then I should compare 3 different options. Then let's go to Canary Islands because I heard it's great there. Or not. Okay, let's try again. Actually, this is pretty annoying because if I want to go somewhere, I want to go somewhere and I want to find the destination. Maybe we go back. Which is also manually working right now. Okay, it's pretty interesting. Okay, let me try again here. Okay, let's say we want to go to Fuerteventura because I guess this is cheaper than Hawaii, and Canary Islands are the Hawaii of Europe. Okay, so we're still waiting. Okay. I would actually like to see here where exactly this is located and not just from the center, but like in which area. But yeah, let's say, okay, let's say we want to go to El Cotillo, look like the ocean. Okay, so it's, oh yeah, cool, perfect. It's under $800. Yeah, it looks okay for today. It's okay. So we have 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Seems like it's right on the beach, which is cool. Okay, let's continue and book now without doing the payment. Okay. I don't want to sign in now, to be honest. Yeah. Personally, I always prefer not signing in. I will just complete this task now because I went through it as far as I can without signing in. Okay, next step. How difficult or easy was it to find travel options that fit your criteria? It wasn't that difficult, but I didn't like it. If I want to look for a budget, it would be like easier to with a budget to have like the whole budget on the site that I can not only choose by night. And I didn't like that if I want to travel somewhere that I can't, in this case, can't choose the flight and the accommodation together. So yeah, it was kind of easy, but not. So I would give it a 3. I didn't like it that much. Now imagine you want to keep track of price changes for specific flights you're interested in. Please find a way to set up alerts for price changes on the site. Okay, now I have to look for flights. Okay, let's say we go from Munich to Fuerteventura because we already kind of booked the accommodation there. And let's say we want to go on these dates. And I guess it would be fine with 1 traveler. Okay. Now we are looking for find a way to set up alerts for price changes. Okay. price round trip. I don't see anything like right away. Maximum price stops. Maybe if I just want to fly. I can't find any. Oh, am I not seeing it? No, I don't see it. Maybe if I click here. No, best quality. Maybe if I continue. Okay. No. I don't see the price alert things. So I could not complete the task. Yeah, it was actually very difficult because I didn't see it. So next step. Imagine you have a question about a booking you made. Please find a way to contact customer support through this site. Remember to think out loud. Okay. I have difficulties with this site. Normally, it's down there. About carriers, home, company, about partner, flights, media. No. Okay. Like here, I can't contact support. Sometimes this would be in about. There you can contact them. No. Join our team. No. Don't we have like a. No, there I can just find bookings. That's pretty interesting actually, because if I want to contact someone, okay, I have VIP support. Okay. Okay, so I would have to download the app to get support. I will now not download the app. Okay, but yeah, I found a way. Okay, yes, I completed it. How difficult or easy was it to find contact information for customer support? Actually, I had to like scroll a little bit, and me personally, I really don't like sites where you have to download something to get support, because support should be something like for everyone who has a question, and maybe just like an older lady who does not have a smartphone, which could be still possible these days. And yeah, and also finding it was not so, because of the VIP support thing. Maybe you don't want to click on it because it looks so like you have to pay for it or so. I didn't find it right away, but yeah, so let's give it a 2. Is there something you would change on this site? Tell us about it and write down in keywords. Contact support without using the app. Also, what did I say? Search for flights and accommodations together if there's a price alert, make them visible. Okay, so I don't know what's possible in the app, but yeah, maybe you can find this all easier in the app. Anything else you want to say? No, I think it's fine. I think I said everything. Okay, finish and upload test. Okay, a test is being uploaded. I think this might take a while. So this means I'm finishing my tester mode and I'm back in the webinar mode. That was interesting.
All right. So, well, thank you, first of all. What do you mean with interesting?
Because actually the site was super similar to the sites like booking.com and Skyscanner, but confusing. I didn't feel really comfortable on this site.
All right.
Personally. And also interesting to do a user test again.
Yeah.
Because I'm also working on the other side. So it was cool to do a user test again.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So thank you anyway for doing the test. So I hope this helped everyone get a little bit of a feeling for, firstly, well, maybe some people are not familiar with user testing yet, so you kind of know now how it works. We'll have a look now at what you do with the results. And even people who know user testing, you would have seen now how it works, the whole system within Userbrain. And I already saw that people were asking a few questions. So there are these questions that we want to answer. And then there's also some, the results you want to look at, what actually happens. Because while you were finishing your test, Paula, I saw that the first tester, Michael, has already completed his test as well. And so results are coming in there, and we're going to look at this in a minute. But I thought that maybe before we do that, we can start addressing a few questions. What do you think?
I think this is great because I will sort them by upvote. Okay. Let's see. Dr. Brian Sitzman, is the AI trained on usability testing principles? It seems it's being quite directive about telling the user to find and use specific features rather than just asking them to accomplish a task and then seeing if they use the features you are hoping they will use.
Exactly. So, and that was one of the questions that I thought would be really interesting to talk about, because firstly, that is a brilliant observation, and is actually, first thing I want to say is it's something that I will probably use after this webinar to improve how we're working with our AI, because of course it is trained to do usability testing properly. And we always, the way when you do that, you try to not to give it too many rules, not give them too many things, but you try to work with a lot of very good examples. So as you've seen, we only said it's a booking website, and it could create a pretty good scenario, something that would actually help, for someone to get into a situation, the thing it did there with the partner, and you want to do a surprise getaway. And so that's really nice. And that's basically what we're trying to do always, get a good scenario in place and then do some tasks following from that scenario. But what I'm getting from your question, and I was observing when the question was coming in, was really this thing when the AI created the task that basically said something like, try to set an alert on the website. And this is something that might have been missed if you hadn't pointed out there. Brian, I think is the name of the person who did that, because it's something that's easy to miss. But actually, a much better way of doing this would to be, imagine you want to remember things for the past, and for the future. And the AI did something like this. It did that. I'm going through the test now. I have a look at it here. Imagine you want to keep track of price changes. So it started pretty well, but then it said, please find a way to set up alerts for price changes. And that is exactly what Brian is pointing out. That is not good. You don't want to have that in a user test where you tell a person, please use feature X. So, and that's something I think this insight that you're giving me there is something that will help us train the AI further, that we're not just focusing on the big scenario in the beginning, but even giving a little bit of training to avoid these things. So to answer the question, it is trained. There are principles that it's applying to. There are a lot of examples that are in there that helped it to create good scenarios and tasks. But that's something that we're learning actually now today and that we'll do in the future and improve that. So in this case now, in this test setting, what we can do is, of course, we can go in manually and improve it ourselves, which is something we can do now. Or once we do that, but yeah, that was a really good point, and I love that question. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. And I say maybe we also take the next question from Anne Marine. I hope I pronounced the name correctly.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So Anne is asking, the testers were there super fast. How do you get these people so quickly? How do they receive the invite and act so quickly? It almost looks like they must be sitting there. Maybe they do, but Stefan will tell you more.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, if you remember when we ordered the test, we didn't set up any criteria. So we didn't say only, I don't know, women from the US in a certain age or whatever. And we didn't use any screener questions to find specific target audiences. It's of course something we can do. But in this case, we basically opened up, and we didn't set a device type either. We didn't do anything. We opened up the test to our whole pool, basically. And the way it works is that people get, I mean, not all of them at the same time, but people get either emails or notifications. So if someone is in their browser and they have the Userbrain extension because they're doing testing, then if they are, in the group of people who are notified in the first bunch, they would get a light, or it's a light, what is it, a red dot or whatever, that tells them, well, there's actually a Userbrain test. So in a way, I guess it's fair to say they are actually sitting ready, because they apparently at this moment were just browsing the web. And it's the extension icon is giving them a signal to say, well, there's a Userbrain test. They go in there and, well, they just change from one browser window to the other, is what I'd say, or from one tab to the other. So yeah. And the reason why it was so quick was because we didn't set any parameters whatsoever, and it was open to the whole pool of testers.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Stefan. Because there's another question from Brian, or maybe we take this one as well. Could you talk a little more about how to best prompt the AI so that you get the best possible draft of test tasks? And then could you show us how to edit the testing task and instructions after AI has given you a draft? I think this is pretty interesting, Stefan, and actually something we wanted to show you, but Stefan.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. So we couldn't have prepared it better, because that's actually a nice way to go into the next part of the webinar, I'd say, where we have a look now at the test again in Userbrain, and we actually show you how you can improve the test instructions, how you can actually edit them. So before I answer the question, I think I just share my screen again quickly so we can have a look at the Userbrain dashboard. So you should see it already. And this is, as I mentioned earlier, Michael, he's done already. And Anthony is still recording. And we're still waiting for Paula's video. So maybe just a quick question, Paula. Can you see, is it still uploading or?
It should be uploaded by now.
Perfect. Then it will be here any minute. That's good to know. So in regards to prompting the AI, I think one way to, what we could do is to create a new test. And so the prompt will depend on whether we pick a website, a mobile app, or a prototype. Let's start with this. If we have a prototype, the AI will constantly do things like, well, this is an early prototype. Don't, if some things are not working, just explain what you think, how it might work, or, those kind of things that you would do in a prototype test. If it is a mobile app, it has a specific way of doing things. Like it would always start on the app URL in the, in the App Store. So it usually starts with the downloading. And with websites, as you could see, maybe it's not even necessary to start a new test. I just go back to the one we created, because as you could see here, go on the edit. The first thing it does is always this homepage tour. So regardless of how you prompt the app and how you formulate your instructions, it will always start with a homepage tour. And if you don't want the homepage tour for whatever reason, you would just delete it. You would say, I don't need to do that. Let's not do it. So this is how you can change it basically. And here in there, you could also, just add stuff and make changes, but that's something we're going to look later. If it's really in regards to prompting it, maybe a good way would be to remember the prompt that we were using, which was a travel website for booking flights and accommodations. So very broad. If you want to be more specific, you could say it's a website where you can book flights, and then maybe what I'm trying to get at, where you can book flights, and I'm just trying to do something off the cuff here for this specific example here, but we would just become more specific. I'm thinking about, for example, we were testing a prototype recently for our pricing website, for our pricing prototype. And there I would just say, this is a prototype of a pricing page. And then I just go into more detail. It's actually, it's a pricing page for Userbrain. And we're really interested in finding out whether people would use this or that. So I'm sorry, I really haven't prepared an example yet, but it's just you add more details and you say it's a site where people would actually want to find out what is the right price for them if they are in the situation that they would do some user testing for their company. So you basically just elaborate, and then you see what happens. When I say see what happens, you just see whatever the AI creates. So if we take an example here, for example, it's a fitness platform, whatever. Provides user workout plans, nutrition plan, virtual coaching sessions. And I'm just thinking now about anything specific that we want to know. It's a bit difficult for me to do this off the cuff here, but I just entered this example, and we see again maybe how the AI is doing it. First, I need to enter URL again. Some fitness website. Do you know a fitness website? I don't know one. Fitness24.com. I don't know. And then we see how this works. I just show you now that would happen if you have the short description. Imagine you're looking to improve your overall health and fitness. You want to find a platform that offers guidance on exercise routines, healthy eating habits. A friend mentioned this site. So you can see it gives you a little bit of a scenario of where to get in there, but then you might want to add something specific. So you can just start over. What happens then is it would delete this task that you have there. You go in there and you still have this, and you just add some more information here. And what I just realized is I keep repeating the same thing, but I don't really have a good example in my mind. So, and as long as I don't have a good example, I think it's difficult to show. But the short answer.
Interrupting quickly, in the chat, there are they posted fitness websites in case you want to choose one of them.
Oh, that's nice. Maybe just prompting by saying something like, we are concerned that users may not find X and Y. We are also hoping users won't get stuck on doing Z. Yeah. For example, you could do these things and then see how well it actually works. And it's always a bit of a trial and error. So you try different things, but that's basically it. What you said there, Brian. You just give it more information. And yeah, but what I just realized, maybe that would be a good topic for one of our upcoming webinars, where we're actually looking in how to not just improve what the AI is creating, but actually how to write a really good prompt. So I think that's nice. But I just read this from Anne Marine. Is there a risk by adding more detail that the AI will use this as prompts in the session as to where to guide the users? I'm trying to understand the question. Is there a risk by adding more detail? Yeah, that the AI will use this as prompts in the session as to where to guide the users. Yeah, maybe. It's a bit of a, with AI, as I think everyone who has worked with it will probably agree, it's a little bit of a black box. So you never know what really happens. And here, what I can tell you is what works best if you work in this framework of it's a description of what the site is about, of what the app is about, and you work it within this framework. Well, this app is about a pricing page for Userbrain. Our goal is to find out which plan works for people who are small business owners and who only want to test once a year, kind of. So you just try to stay within this framework. That would be a great webinar, Stefan. Yeah. So I think that's something we plan for the future, Paula, because I realize I'm just rambling on now and I'm not really giving any great information. So, but yeah, sorry for the ramble. Okay, thank you. I don't know enough about it. I still have, okay. I think we actually put it on the list for one of the upcoming webinars. So that's noted. All right. Are there any questions that we should answer now, or should we have a look into how our test is doing? I just open it in the meanwhile.
I'm checking the questions right now. There are actually like a lot of questions. Maybe this is like a very quick one from Tim. Can we experiment with your AI for free without using up to 2 free test sessions?
Oh yes. You can just create an account. So you either create an account on the free plan, or you start a free trial, whatever you want to do. You go in there and you can create as many tests as you want. You can try out different things with the AI and see what the results are. You don't have to use the testers. You don't have to pay anything. So that's actually maybe a good starting point for you if you want to find out if the AI is any useful for you. Keep in mind that for now, what the AI is really trying to do, making a solid user test or a solid usability test. So it will always stick to a very, let's say, predetermined formula based on all the examples and all the lessons that we try to teach it. So it will always create a test that is pretty solid. It's pretty good. But if there's something specific you want to do within the test, I think your best bet is to create one of these tests with the AI and then go in and make manual changes, add a task yourself, maybe delete a task that doesn't make sense that the AI has created, and use it as a springboard, then go in and do manual changes. Okay. So what do you think, Paula? Should we have a quick look here in our Userbrain dashboard? Are there any more questions?
There are so many questions, Stefan.
Okay.
Like actually, hello, we should make a webinar with just questions actually, or set it up for like 2 hours or so.
But you know what? We can let's stay with the questions. That's actually more interesting. We can do the other things quicker and maybe do a follow-up, send you something afterwards if you want to look at the results. But
okay.
let's stay with the questions because that's what the people
Then we
want to
stay
know.
with the questions. Okay, Marta is asking also, it would be great to format the task a bit and separate body text by introducing headings, e.g. name of the task, something for the part you introduced, the think aloud protocol. I personally would find it hard to complete a task if it is structured as a block of text.
Yes. I absolutely agree with the point being made in this, question. It's not really a question, but it's a suggestion. And it's a really, really good suggestion. And I can see your point. And it's for us, like we started Userbrain 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, all we had was one field where there were the instructions. So over the years, obviously, we did the step-by-step instructions. You have different question types. You have all sorts of things by now. And this is a recurring thing whenever we talk about the test instructions, whether we want to actually provide more typographic elements or not, or more ways of styling it or not. And so far, we've actually said, you know what, we're not going to do anything, because the more options there are, the more people will tend to create longer tasks. So, and we're trying to, and I'm not saying it's an ideal solution. I'm just saying that was the train of thought leading to this, and this is what we decided. So the train of thought was, if there are no options to do stylings, you kind of have to do something really short, something really quick, and do the task with as little, use as do you say it like this, as little words as possible, or at least no word that's unnecessary. Try to keep it really short. And we wanted to motivate people to do that, because our concern is, in our experience, and basically everyone who knows about user testing, I think, agrees on this topic, it's not very controversial, is that there is a tester fatigue that we can observe in unmoderated user tests. So when there's no moderator, no facilitator present, and people are doing it themselves, and everything that's longer than 20 minutes is that's not going to work really well. 15 minutes is already quite long. So we're trying to encourage really quick and short tests. This is why we didn't add this typographic options, or how do you call it, the ways of formatting the tasks. So it is a great point, and maybe we want to look into adding a little bit there. So we're thinking about Markdown and those sorts of things, and give you a lot of power there. But that is actually the reason why we haven't done it so far, and why it's not even something on our roadmap, in the sense that it's something we want to do, but it's something we keep looking at and keep exploring. But we think if we limit people to this, we get shorter tests. It's a little bit like, if you remember the early days of Twitter, when they had this limitations of characters. And limitation in a way is a bad thing, if you want to do a lot of things, but then it added to the character of what the platform actually was. And this is a little bit what we're trying here with Userbrain, so that also from a tester perspective, it's almost like I like to take a Userbrain test because they have to be short and sweet. But obviously the downside for this is if customers still do long tests, then it becomes a big, I don't know, that's how we would say it in German, a sausage of words. So you don't really have any structure. So yeah. Anyway, that's the reason.
Cool. Thank you so much, Stefan. Let's go for the next question. Let me see which one to choose. Brian, again, very cool. Thanks for all of these great questions, Brian. Is there a way to bring a draft of testing tasks to Userbrain and getting feedback from AI on how to improve, polish it? This would only be useful if the AI is specifically trained for user testing.
Okay, so I can answer this quickly, I hope, because the short answer is no. There's no way of doing it. And the explanation is also what you said there. The AI needs to be specifically trained for user testing, those sorts of things. And it is a bit of it's not as easy as one would think when you think about it for a short period of time, how to achieve this. So it's something we were experimenting with, and it's something we definitely want to do. But we couldn't, when we did the experiments the last time, create kind of results that were of a quality that we said we can launch this already. So what I'm saying is, no, there's nothing in there in Userbrain at the moment. So you won't find it if you search for it, but it's there in the background, and it's something we're working on. And it's again, a fantastic idea. So basically for everyone else, because I'm not sure if you see the question on the screen, it's really, at least that's the way we conceive it, or we think about it. You add a task or you write something, and the AI would tell you, well, actually, if you changed it here a little bit, then it would be less biasing. You wouldn't lead the user to do this. So the way we're imagining it is not even an AI just improving your stuff, but actually giving you hints on how to improve it, so you can really collaborate with the AI. This is what we're having in mind. But yeah, so I promised a short answer and talked for a long time again. So, but yeah. That's the answer.
Cool. Thank you so much, Stefan. Let's go on with the next question. Okay, another question from Marta. Cool question. It looks like you are creating scenario-based task, not just task. Task would be more step-by-step guidelines, while here the AI-generated part looks like scenarios. Does it differentiate between step-by-step versus scenarios?
That's a fantastic question. And the terms are always a little bit difficult to define in the industry. Everyone is using a little bit different terms, but I think that is the one that we also at Userbrain really agree with, is really scenario-based tasks. That is exactly how we think about what the AI is doing here. Because, and I'm just going to show you this quickly. Am I still sharing the screen? Yes. So again, this homepage tour. This is something we learned from Steve Krug. If you know about him, that's what he's describing in his book, something we can do early in the test. But then we go with a scenario, and the scenario is combined with a task. So it gives you the motivation to do something, which is, imagine you want to do this, you want to achieve that, and then it tells it to you in a way so that it's actually, you know, well, this is what I need to do now. So this is always the beginning of the test. As we move forward, there are, you know, these follow-up questions and whatever. That's something you can do. But then again, here's also a little bit of imagine you want to keep track of changes. But then you could argue, well, this is actually a task in a way. It tells you set up an alert. So it's a bit of a mixture, a bit of a combination. Then again, here's a question. Imagine you have a question about booking. So it's always like what we're trying to do is really give people a reason for why to do a task. So always do a little bit of a combination of this. If you want to have more task-based way of doing things, you can of course manually do that. And maybe I should just show that quickly. So you would go and edit here, and you go in here and you add a new task and say, well, now do this, whatever. And you can do it this way. And I hope this answers the question, and this is what you were asking for. But again, in summary, we're always trying to connect scenario with task, or in other words, connect the motivation with the task, with what we want people to do. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Stefan, thank you so much. Let's go for the next question. From Anne. With a tool like this, it's challenging to measure at which point people would abandon your site. They are committed to the session and follow tasks. This is often what clients want to understand or investigate. Any thoughts on how AI could prompt using session details or user behavior comments?
Sorry, I lost a little bit. With a tool like this, it is challenging to measure at which point people would abandon your site. Oh, yes. They are committed to the session and follow tasks. Yes, this is often what clients want to understand or investigate. Any thoughts on how AI could prompt using session details or user behavior comments? Well, firstly, it's an absolutely accurate observation, because we're asking people to do stuff. So, and if they're not doing the things that are in the instructions, we're actually not going to pay them, or we're not going to pay them anymore for future tests. We're not going to invite them to tests anymore, because by definition, by our own internal definition, they're not good testers. So they need to do the tasks. So and this is unnatural in a way, especially when it comes into terms of, well, when would they abandon the site? So it's kind of like, you can't observe that here. It's not going to happen, because it's not really a real scenario. But you could do it by, well, let people do something like this, and then maybe ask a question at one point. Let's say, let's do a single choice question maybe, and then in real life, would you have, and then abandoned, would you have left the site? Yeah, I don't know, it's a bit difficult to do it, but you can kind of phrase it as a question: would you have done it? And then you could ask, well, yes, absolutely, or no. Or you maybe you could say something: if you had to use this site in a real scenario, in your real life, would it actually, would you have done it? Be honest about it. So you can ask people, but then, yeah, you can ask them, you can get some answers, but how scientific that really is, I think, is a debate on itself, and it's like, that's difficult. The real thing is, there are probably other tools that are there are certainly other tools that are much better at finding out if people are, would use something in real. And I actually need to rephrase it. It's not even if people would use something for real, but you could actually do some testing, live testing on people on your website, and you can see, well, are they using it for real? Where are they leaving? And this is usually the interplay of how you use analytics with user testing. So you look at your analytics and you see, well, this page has a high bounce rate, or people are abandoning their shopping cart, people are doing this. And then you create a user test with a scenario that lets people use the site, and then you watch the videos. And and that's the person sitting behind. So you watching it, your data, and then you see the video, you hear people thinking, and then you kind of come to the conclusion, you know what? I think this person is abandoning or maybe we have such a high cart abandonment because of this issue that we're observing here. So it needs an intelligent human, I'd say, to find these things out, at least if the two systems are not connected to each other. But within Userbrain, or user testing in general, usability testing, there's not really a way to do it apart from asking people. And again, you ask people something, you get an answer, but yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. Can you just check if your screen is stuck? Can you maybe just scroll down a little bit? Because
my screen is stuck. I just realized this myself now. So there's some. You know what? I was sharing a different tab. That's
why. Now it makes sense. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, don't worry. Okay, unfortunately, we do not have so much time left.
That's true.
There's still open questions. We tried to answer the last questions as well, but what I would love to do pretty quickly, I would just publish another poll right now. We would like to know, did you feel you learned something new today? I just published a poll, so you will have the little one popping up again on your polls tab. Would be great to answer if you would answer that. And yeah, I guess Stefan, we just continue with the last questions.
Maybe before we do this, I need to say just one thing. Or I want to say one thing here. Just did you see like there was a different person testing earlier? So sometimes it happens when people are abandoning the tests, another person would take over. Or sometimes people use the pause function within Userbrain, and if they pause longer than 10 minutes or something is interrupting them, another person would do it. But it's just something I wanted to address here because it's on the screen. And Paula, I just want to show it because so that people have seen it. So what we were really showing today was how the AI was creating tasks. And then we did a trial test. We answered a few questions now, but actually we also wanted to show you the AI insights. So things that the AI is actually finding out when it's analyzing the tests. And I just, don't really have a lot of time to look in this now, but I just wanted to show it very quickly. So this is what the AI automatically does. Maybe I start by doing this. I open Paula's test because we might still be able to remember it. And you will see that the AI has created some notes in here. Notes, and here it created a clip, for example, which is, an analysis of the test. So the tester notices stuffed animals and clouds, which he found pretty cute. So there's some positive feedback there. She identified the target audience as people who want to go on vacation. So all the things that the AI has found, it will do here as notes and clips with timestamps added to it. So those things you can easily, go to and say, well, that's an interesting clip, and you can share it with your team. I mean, you can even create a public link and share it with, people who don't need to log into Userbrain. So you can do it like this. And this happens for all the videos. And on the AI Insights tab, the AI is looking at all these notes and clips and actually groups them in positive feedback, in usability issues, in user confusion, negative feedback, user behavior, and suggestions. And then whenever something was mentioned by 2 people or 3 or 4 people, then you will see more user icons here. If it's just something that one person had an issue with or said something about, it's only 1 icon. In this case, we only have 2 testers so far. There's not a lot happening here. And then there's probably a new tester finished now. No, not yet. You can regenerate those because you can also add your own notes and clips. And this is how you stay in control. So this part, so the AI is doing all of this automatically, but you can watch the videos. You can add your own observations, your own notes, your own clips, and then the AI will also include them here on the summary. And this is basically where you have an overview of all your results. And that's just something I wanted to show very quickly before we go. And yeah, sorry, if we still have time for some questions, maybe we can do that for the remaining time.
Yeah, Stefan, actually, you were just answering the question of Louis because he was asking, can AI assess the results and produce insights reports? And yeah, so this is why I just showed the question there. We have 3 more questions left. Okay. Just out of curiosity, has there been instances of where you have entered a website URL and the AI generated task have asked users to perform tasks that aren't possible on the website?
Oh yes, I think it happened with your test, Paula. Actually, if I'm not sure, but I think it happened because sometimes it can happen. Because in this test, if you remember, the AI put a task in that asked you to set up alerts, something we talked about earlier. And I think the site doesn't even have a feature to set up alerts. So yes, it can happen because obviously it's trying its best based on your website description and how these websites usually work. The AI will come up with common tasks for these websites, apps, prototypes. But it might be something that's not possible on the site. So that absolutely happens. And in this case, obviously you go in there and you create, you delete the task or you add your own task and change that. So yes.
Cool, perfect. Then we have another question from Natalia. How do you ensure the quality of testing? Similar to Ant's question, some people are just clicking on task completed without doing and explaining it, prioritizing speed over thoroughness to complete as many tests as possible in a short time frame.
Yes, that happens. And we're trying to do a lot when it comes to even onboarding testers so that they are allowed to do paid testing on our platform. So they do some example tests, they get some feedback for how to improve this. And this is one of the common issue that people are having, or one of the common problems that we experience with people, is that they are rushing through tests. And those people will usually not be allowed to be on the platform. They will not be let in. And of course, they will be instructed. And if they, show that they are actually taking the task serious and they take their time and do all the things, then they will stay testing with the website. And so usually you should have good quality. Whenever there isn't a good quality and you've had the feeling that a tester was rushing it, then you can just go here. Am I still sharing? Yes, I'm still doing it. And let's say Michael was rushing it. And then you can just report the problem. You say tester, and then you say, I don't know, instructions weren't followed or rushed through. You can describe it, whatever the problem was. You continue, and then you can say refund the session. So you would actually get your money back, and you can create a new test or get a new tester instead. So that's that. And another thing is also what I like to do is, I like to do a trial test usually, where I just send it out for one tester or maybe to a colleague. And if I see that people are not doing, giving me quality answers within the framework of, how easy it was, and they just don't say anything, I would also add, and please explain your thoughts. So just add a little line there, and then people will read this and they will usually do it. So in our case, for example, how difficult, easy was it to travel with the criteria? You would just say, please explain your answer. Please explain why. Please explain your reasoning, and something like this. So yeah, this way it should work.
Okay, perfect. Maybe because of the what you said, like a trial test, or you send it out to colleagues, like all of our subscription have like a lot of invite your own testers within the subscription. So you can actually really do the test for yourself, send you the invitation link like Stefan did it with me before, or send it to someone without you can just test your own test and see if it would working good. Just on a side note. Okay. So we have two more questions. Stefan, I think, we can answer them pretty quickly. So Tim is asking, can you demonstrate in the AI your answers to the questions as you answer them? Seeing them in action would help.
I don't really understand the question. Can you demonstrate in the AI your answers to the questions? I'm not sure what can you help me, Paula? Do you know what it means? Or
I'm not so sure about, but maybe he's referring to how you would change them, or I don't know, Tim, if you still in the webinar, if you're still online, maybe you can just type in the chat and tell us what you wanted to know, and until then we will just continue with the last question from Luis again. Does the AI cleans results for time wasters?
wondering because at first I thought I understood the question. Now I think there's a second possible interpretation to it. But the way I interpreted it to begin with was, if there's a tester who was just basically wasting your time because he or she was rushing through it and didn't give good answers, then my answer to this question would be yes. And the way it works, you just go in on the tester view and you say, for example, let's go to Michael again, his video wasn't really good, and you would delete the video, and this way the AI gets it out of the AI analysis. There's actually not a way at the moment, but this is something that we want to do for sure, where you just say, I don't want to delete the video. I just don't want it in the AI insights. You can't really do that with an easy click. What you can do is you can go into the AI insights and the clips that it has created, and you can either delete those because then they won't be in the insights, or you go in there, and what you can do is remove the tag, because the tag that the AI is using, user behavior or positive feedback, whatever, that is responsible for how the AI insights are formed. And if you delete the text, it won't be in there either. That's how you can manually do it. But I guess the easiest way is to delete the tester, and because the assumption is if it was a time waster anyway, let's just delete the video. But yeah, but you could also download the video before you delete it if that's a concern anyway.
There's a follow-up question from Luis. Sorry, those who race through based on time taken.
So, okay, did I answer the question correctly then? Is this the question? Sorry,
Luis, is your question answered, or are your question answered? Just let us know quickly in the chat. That would be great. And yes, okay, perfect, cool.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you so much. I think, unfortunately, we are already done with this webinar. It was great having you all here. Also, thanks to Jonathan, who was answering a few questions in between as well. He's our customer success manager. And yeah, if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to us at any time. You can always contact us. Support@userbrain.com, or yeah, Jonathan also just inserted a link to our free trial where you have 2 free testers. And yeah, great having you all here. Stefan, I will give you the last word, maybe for future events or whatever you want to tell us.
Yeah, I mean, what I really want to say is there's been a lot of questions coming in. It was awesome, and I feel like I haven't really answered most of them. You know, I tried my best, and I hope it worked, and people got some answers that they needed. But there's a lot of things to talk about, so it would be interesting, you know, for future webinars also to think about how we can adapt the format and how to get the most out for everyone. And other than that, what I really want to encourage you is just go on the website. It's userbrain.com, start a free trial, and then experiment with it yourself. So that's the good thing about it, is you don't need to enter a credit card or I don't know. You don't even need to answer these questions that I don't like, which asks you like, are you a product manager? Do you have a team of 5 or 10? Which would be good information to have, I guess, in the onboarding, but we're not asking these questions. So it's very quick. I think all you need is an email address and the password. You're in there, and you can just, you know, let's say, hack the system a little bit, and we're just trying out things, see whatever you want to do, put in your own website, see what happens. And there are these 2 free testers. You can do that. And what you can also do is this share link that I shared with Paula for her to do the test. You can share that internally with your own team, with people that you know, and you get 5 of these also for free, because someone said somewhere it would be nicer to have 5 testers, then you can do a proper round. And I was just thinking, yeah, of course. And basically you can actually get 7 testers for free. So it's 2 testers from our pool and then 5 testers of your own, and the 5 will renew every month. So every month you can do, because that's what we said, that's a good baseline. Do 5 tests every month, and then you can just, you know, use your own team if you want to, or people that you know, and then yeah, they can do some testing or share it on Facebook, wherever you want to. That's that. And yeah, I hope you found it interesting. It was a new format that we're trying today, so no more theory, no more slides, just really in the product, interacting as much as possible. And yeah, we have a lot of ideas even collected today for upcoming webinars. Really looking forward to it. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining today and for spending the evening with us, at least in our time zone, and the morning and day wherever you are. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. And just Cassie, okay, Dominic just answered you. Yeah, you have, with our free plan, you get 5 free testers every month, 5 of your own testers. So if you start the free trial, just to clear that up again, you get 2 of the Userbrain testers and access to all our features. And after the 2 weeks, the free trial, you get downgraded to the free plan, but you still get 5 free testers every month and can just send the invitation link. Okay. Yeah, Jonathan also just send another link. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you all for having for being here, for watching us, and I would say see you on the next webinar. And have a lovely evening. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.